Hi guys, welcome to JD Aspect. My name is Akshay Pawar and today we are going to create a Spring Boot application and going to integrate it with Hibernate and a database called H2, which is an in-memory database. So let's get started. We have divided this session into two videos. In the first one, we are going to create a Spring Boot application, and the second one, we are going to integrate it with the Hibernate and H2 database. So we'll be using Spring framework. So Spring is the one of the most powerful and popular framework for Java. It has several projects with it. If you go to spring.io/projects, you will see the projects provided by the Spring. So we have Spring Boot, Spring Cloud, Spring Cloud Function, Spring Data, Spring Security, and other projects. So the latest one is the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is like makes easy to create a standalone application, a production grade application as quickly as possible. Right? So as quickly as possible is like we don't need any server to deploy your jar, war, or tar file on it. It has a server embedded in it. So you just have to start your application, and your jar or war or tar file will be deployed automatically inside it, and it will be up and running. So there are actually many ways to create a Spring Boot application. Today we're going to see three ways to do it. For the first way, what we'll be using a Spring Tool Suite, a tool to create the project for us. So Spring Tool Suite is nothing but as another layer over the Eclipse to create the Spring projects. So in order to download that, you just go to spring.io/tools. There you can see the Spring Tool Suite 4 is the version that we have. Download it. It's just a zip file. If you once you download it, just extract it. I have already downloaded the Spring Tool Suite with me. Once you extract it, you would see this Spring Tool Suite 4.exe file. Just double click on it, select your workspace, and just run it. Um, so, for the first way, what will we do? We'll be going to go to File, create New, then create Spring Boot Starter project. So what it will do, we'll see the service URL is start.spring.io. So what this thing is actually what going to do is it is going to go to this website, create the project for you, and going to import in your Spring Tool Suite. So you don't have to do anything. So just define what's the type. So we'll be using Maven. We'll be selecting packaging as jar. We'll be using Java 8. Then we'll be providing the group ID, artifact ID, the version, if you version, the description, and the package. So let's click on next and select the dependencies now. Now, if you see, there are a number of dependencies provided in this. So we just select the dependencies. So we'll be using webs. So as it is a web project, we'll be selecting the web. We'll be using H2, which is an in-memory database. H2. We'll be using Lombok. So Lombok is another project which is going to ease your programming experience. You don't have to write too much of code if you use that. So click on next and click on finish. So what it is going to do is going to contact that Spring start.spring.io website and going to import the project for you. So it is going to take a couple of minutes. So by the time, let's see another way to create the Spring Boot app. So let's go to start.spring.io website. Now it has the same thing. So what is the project that you want to generate? You want to generate a Maven, or you want to use Gradle? You can select that Java, then provide the group ID, artifact ID, and select the dependencies. What we see in the second step, we'll be using Lombok, Web, and H2. Just click on the generate project. So what it will do, it will create a project for you, zip it, and it will be downloaded into your machine. So use that, unzip it, and then add it as a project, a Maven project inside your favorite editor, maybe Eclipse or IntelliJ or NetBeans or whatever your favorite Eclipse. 79% imported. Let's wait for a couple of more seconds. Okay, it is imported now. Okay, so let's see the structure of it first. So what we have is like we have SRC, main, Java, and then we have resource folder in it, Hibernate, and then application properties file and pom.xml. So let's go to these files one by one. So if you open this file called spring hibernate application.java, will so this is the main file that we have. The spring project is will be searching for this file, which will be annotated with @spring boot application. So you just have to create a file and just will say @spring boot application, and it will have a main method. We'll be running it using spring application class dot run, and we'll be loading this file. So everything, this is what you have to do. Or you all need to create a spring boot application. That's it, just one annotation, and everything is in it. And then we'll see the application.properties file. It would be empty, so by default spring will look for this file name called application.properties. So whatever the file name, what are the properties that you have defined in this properties file, it would be automatically loaded. And now let's see pom.xml file. Okay, you can see that the parent is spring boot starter parent. The latest version is 2.1.2, and we'll be using Java 8. So it's already defined as properties, Java version 1.8, spring dependencies, the web, the H2 database, the Lombok, and obviously the test one. So if you see this web dependencies, it has all other dependencies in it. So it has all the spring core, spring context, everything, spring security, everything is in it. So if you see the maven dependencies that got downloaded, you can see all these jars. We have not defined these jars anywhere. We have 4 jars, and see still all these jars are already there. So you don't have to add anything in it if you add a spring boot starter web and dependencies in it. So you can see the Tomcat embedded core. As I told earlier, it already has a Tomcat server in it. So you don't need any container to deploy your jar, var, or tar file in it. Okay, so now the third way that I was talking about is just to using by creating a normal Maven project. So go to say create a Maven project, and then you can see you can just select create a Maven project for your Maven project, and then click on next. It will going to create a normal project for you, and just in the pom.xml add these dependencies. Say the parent as a spring boot starter parent. If the Java version is 1.1 is not 1.8, you can select the 1.8 version, and then add these dependencies, and create a class annotated with @spring boot application, and then use spring application.run method to load this application class, and then your spring boot application would be up and running. Okay, so now let's create a controller, a REST controller, in order to test our spring boot application. So let's create a folder first. Let's create a file and say hello controller. So click on finish. So this file is created. Now what we'll do, we'll just annotate it with @REST controller, so which will tell Spring that this is the REST controller. um, okay, now just create a method, alright, which will return say hello world or something. So we'll say spring public string, say hi, not pass anything in it. We'll say return hi spring boot, and say Hibernate customer thing. We provide the path of it, then say this, say hi. Say hi, save it. Now our REST controller is ready. So now let's run the application. So since we are using Spring Tool Suite, we'll be using Spring Tool Suite feature. So what we'll do, we'll just run this Spring Boot Hibernate file. You can run it as a Java application. Since we are using Spring Tool Suite, I will be running it as a Spring Boot app. So just click on Spring Boot app. So we have a nice logo of Spring, and then it is what, let's read the console. It will give some information to us. So it's saying it's starting the Tomcat on the port number 8080. So it is a by default port number for the Tomcat, and then it has started the application in this seconds. So it is the application is up and running on the port number 8080. So what we'll do, we'll go to our browser, we'll type localhost 8080 slash say hi. And you can see we got a response back saying hi Spring Boot. So you haven't done anything. We just created a file annotated with the Spring Boot application, create a controller, annotated with the address controller, create a method, and we got the response back. So it has created the application as quickly as possible. That's what the main motto of the Spring Boot was. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we are going to integrate this Spring Boot app with the Hibernate and the H2 database.